And joining me this morning is Police Chief Paul Humphrey. Chief Humphrey, you've joined us a few times now. Thanks so much for coming in and just talking more about LMPD's efforts in the city, and also you're newly sworn in. So how does that feel to be official?
It feels good, ready to get to work.
Yeah, and you've been doing a lot of work so far. We're just going to jump right into it, right? The first thing that I want to talk to you about is the rebranding. You announced the your new logo, new brand. What is that going to do for the department?
Well, internally, what that brand is about, it's about pointing out that this is one Metro. We are a team. We are working together, both internally and with the community. It's not about one person or one specific item. It's about us working together. And then externally, we wanted something that the city could have some buy-in and some ownership of the police department as well. So we wanted to make sure we had logos that we could put on T-shirts and the average person can wear and talk about LMPD.
And do you feel like it's important to have the community be part of that?
Absolutely. Community and police interaction is vital to making sure we have a safe city.
Yeah. We always talk about crime and what you guys are doing to eliminate or, solve crime, what it may be. When we talk about recently, there was a shooting this weekend in the Highlands on Bardstown Road. There have been a number of crimes like that in the area over the summer and the past few months. What are you guys doing to continue to try to cut that down?
Well, we've had a little bit of success in the past few weeks, and now we've gotten a spike here in the last half a week or so. We've had 3 homicides since Sunday. But what I talked about at the promotions and what I've been pushing is our strategic crime plan to address violent crime specifically. And that's about having short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals and tasks that we have to achieve. And so we'll be able to talk about that more and more as we implement it. But what that's about is about increasing community interaction with the police, increasing proactivity by the police, and making sure that we have successful prosecutions. And so we need officers out there locking people up, talking to people in the community, and we need to work with the courts and other agencies to make sure that we keep bad people off the streets and in jail when they need to be.
You talk about community interaction. You mean wanting to see more officers like on the ground in those areas so that people can, that you're visible? Right.
And so obviously with a manpower shortage, it's always important for us to examine how we're utilizing the resources that we have. So making use of technology so that we can supplement the time that officers spend so we can get them back out there on the street and actually having those proactive contacts, whether they're contacts to just make connections with the community or they're out there doing enforcement work. We need officers doing police work out there, not administrative work.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on Cafe 360 over in the Highlands? There was a shooting there. They just recently closed. Their liquor license was taken away for a while. They closed. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think the way that worked with ABC and some of the other Metro partners is very important, and that's part of what we have built in our crime plan is how can LMPD collaborate with other parts of Metro government to make sure that we solve some of these long-term problems that we see, whether it's an individual establishment or some of those neighborhoods and areas that we see historically blighted by crime.
Yeah, so do you feel that maybe suspending a liquor license where an establishment that has a lot of crime or that has had a crime like a shooting is something that you would want to do?
100%. We know that certain places are a locus of crime, and there has to be consequences for those people that run those businesses that habitually attract crime. And so by shutting those down, giving them penalties, we make sure that we no longer have that. And people need to know that if you run a business that's going to behave like that, we are going to work closely with ABC and the rest of Metro government to get you shut down.
Let's talk about the outdoor mask ban. We know that the mayor recently implemented that. And how would that be enforced by LMPD?
Well, we are talking, this is actually a good thing because we were talking about this as an idea because we see the anecdotal evidence that there are groups of people who are taking advantage of a legitimate health concern, which is why we stopped enforcing the mask ban that's been on the books since the 80s. And so, but we know that people are preying on people and using that mask ban to hide their identity. So we're working with Metro Council, we're working with other community members to make sure that we get a good carve out and a good understanding of how we can enforce that in a way that does not encroach on people's need to keep themselves healthy. And it's not used in a discriminatory way. But at the same time, we have to stop crime. What we're not going to tolerate is the status quo. We're having, I think we're at a little bit over 120 homicides this year. I think 84 of those are black people. So we have to have different strategies and tactics that we're going to employ. And sometimes we're going to get it wrong, and that's fine. We'll pivot. But what we're not going to do is continue to allow people to be murdered and people to hide behind masks while they do it.
All right, Chief Humphrey, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
talking to us today and always for stopping by. We appreciate that.
I appreciate it. Thanks,
All
Carrie.
right, well, take care. Have a great day.